Here's why narcissists can turn far more evil like a demon when you leave them for good. Narcissists always get worse when you leave them. Let me break it down for you. When you walk away, it's not just a breakup in their mind. It's an attack. It's humiliation. It's rejection. And for someone with an ego as inflated yet fragile as a narcissist, that kind of hit is almost unbearable. Their pride is everything. Their reputation is everything. Their image is everything. So when you leave, you're not just ending a relationship. You're tearing down the very wall they've built to protect themselves. Now, here's what happens next. Sometimes you trigger what's called a narcissistic injury. Think of it like pulling a muscle. Painful, yes, but survivable. They limp, they sulk, they lash out, but they can still keep going. Other times, you trigger a narcissistic collapse, and that is far more dangerous. A collapse is like breaking every bone in your body all at once. You can't move. You can't function. You feel destroyed. For a narcissist, a collapse happens when their ego is completely crushed, their image shattered, their reputation ruined. And when that happens, they go into full panic and attack mode. Guess who becomes the target? You. And I know what some of you are thinking, but when I left, they promised to change. They were sweet again. They said they'd do anything to keep me. Exactly. Because anybody can be on their best behavior when they're desperate. Anybody can put on a show long enough to reel you back in. That's not love. That's not repentance. That's manipulation. They'll smile. They'll apologize. They'll say, "I'll do whatever it takes." But that performance doesn't last. Once you're back in, once they feel safe again, the mask comes off. And when it does, the behavior is usually worse than before. Because now they remember that you left them once. And narcissists never forget. Let me break it down further. Narcissists hold grudges like it's their full-time job. Every word you said, every boundary you set, every step you took to reclaim your peace, they store it like ammunition. You think you're starting fresh, but in their mind, they're keeping score. They see you as the one who hurt them, and that ego-wound festers. The next time you disappoint them, the next time you challenge them, all that stored resentment comes rushing back out. And that's why going back rarely ever works. The cycle doesn't reset, it intensifies. This is the mentality of a narcissist. They don't view you as a partner. They don't see love the way healthy people do. They see possession. They see supply. They see control. And when you break away from that grip, you're threatening the very core of who they believe they are. That's why they'll go to such extreme lengths to get worse, to cause chaos, to wreck your peace of mind. Not because they want to love you better, but because they can't stand the blow to their pride. So listen, if you're planning to leave or you've already left, prepare yourself. The storm afterward is real. But don't let that storm trick you into thinking you made the wrong choice. Their meltdown is not your failure. It's proof of how unstable their foundation has always been. Protect your boundaries. Recognize the fake promises for what they are. And most of all, remember, when they get worse, it's not because you did something wrong. It's because you finally did something right. You know what happens when you leave a narcissist. It doesn't just sting, it scars. Think of their ego like a sheet of glass. Every insult, every rejection, every time you walk away, it leaves a crack. And no matter how much they try to patch it up, the crack is still there. They don't forget it. They can't unsee it. That's why when you wound a narcissist's pride, they carry that mark with them. And instead of processing the pain in a healthy way, their instinct is to find a way to restore their image, to retaliate, or to twist the story so they don't come out looking weak. This is why you'll see the pattern so often. They'll beg you to return, make promises that sound like change, act sweet. And for a brief moment you think, maybe they really mean it this time. But what's really happening is a performance, a way to soothe their injured ego long enough to pull you back in. And once you're there, the script flips. Suddenly, they're the ones ending things, because in their mind, they need to rewrite the narrative. I didn't get dumped, I did the dumping. They'll spin the story so they come out on top, because admitting rejection is unbearable to them. And it doesn't stop there. If you were the one holding their life together, maybe you were the one managing the bills, keeping the home stable, giving them credibility they couldn't earn on their own. Once you leave, everything starts to unravel. Their finances collapse, their routines fall apart, their reputation takes a hit. And instead of facing the truth, they double down. Some turn vengeful, some become obsessed, and others numb the pain through addictions. Alcohol, drugs, reckless behavior. Anything that dulls the sting of rejection. That's what makes them spiral. Here's the bottom line. Rejection breeds obsession for a narcissist. When you walk away, it doesn't close the chapter for them. It sparks a fire inside their ego that screams, I need to win this back. I need to prove I'm still in control. That's why they get worse when you leave. Because the pain of rejection doesn't humble them, it fuels them. And until you recognize that cycle for what it is, they'll keep pulling you back into their storm. Not to love you, but to repair their fragile pride. When you step away from a narcissist, one of the first things you'll notice is how quickly they seem to find someone else. And for you, it feels like a slap in the face. You're left wondering, wait a minute, I thought what we had was real. How could you just replace me like that? Don't I matter at all? But here's the truth. They are not leaving to heal, to reflect, or to grow. They are leaving because they can't sit with the emptiness that comes when their ego is cracked. They don't want to deal with the silence of their own thoughts, so they chase a new supply, a new admirer, a new distraction, a new way to feel important again. They need that quick hit of external validation like a drug, because without it, they begin to unravel. For most narcissists, waiting to feel better is not an option. They need relief right now. That urgency is why they don't pause to reconcile or give you a chance to work things out. Instead, they take their wounded pride and run toward the nearest source of comfort. And depending on the type of narcissist you're dealing with, the reaction looks different. Some will flaunt their new relationship or new attention to make you feel small, to hammer in the message that you are easily replaceable. They want you to believe that you were never as important as you thought, that you should have been grateful just to be in their orbit. Others will go silent, not because they don't feel the pain, but because their pride won't allow them to reach out. Even with their ego in pieces, they'd rather suffer in private than admit they need you. Their silence becomes a strategy. If you make the first move, it saves them the work of self-reflection and change. By contacting them, you send the unspoken message that you're willing to overlook the damage they caused, and that tells them they don't really have to take responsibility. This creates a cruel trap for you, because their reaction, whether it's obsessive pursuit or calculated indifference, makes you start questioning yourself. If they chase, you might wonder if you should give them another chance. If they ignore you, you may spiral into self-doubt. Why aren't they fighting for me? Wasn't I worth the effort? Did I not matter? That inner dialogue is exactly what keeps you tied to them. The narcissist's actions are less about you and more about maintaining their own fragile sense of control. One personality will stalk, harass, and flood your phone with messages because the idea of losing their grip on you terrifies them. Another will go cold and distant, parading their independence, because they want you to feel the sting of rejection and come crawling back. And here's the part that's so damaging. No matter how they play it, the end goal is the same. They want to rewrite the story so that they are never the abandoned one, never the vulnerable one, never the person left behind. Whether through silence, replacement, or pursuit, the point is always to protect the ego, not to honor you. So when you start attaching your self-worth to their reaction, asking yourself why they didn't chase you, or why they moved on so quickly, you're falling into a trap. Your value is not measured by their behavior after the breakup. Their choices reveal the cracks in their character, not deficiencies in yours. So don't misinterpret the silence, the flaunting, or even the desperate pursuit. Those are all performances, designed to soothe the narcissist's wounds and to keep you questioning yourself. They are not proof that you weren't enough, and they are not proof that you should go back. They are proof of how fragile their identity really is. Recognizing this is the first step toward breaking free, because once you stop tying your worth to their response, you take back the power they've been holding over you all along. This is the mindset many narcissists carry, and it explains why things often get worse if you leave and later try to come back. From their perspective, The moment you reach out first, you're silently agreeing with everything they've done to you. In their logic, if the treatment was truly unacceptable, you wouldn't be returning. So, your presence becomes their proof that the behavior was fine. They don't need to ask themselves hard questions or face their actions, because your return has already answered it for them. You're okay with it. And with that twisted justification in place, many will feel even more entitled to push boundaries further, knowing that you've already shown a willingness to accept it once. That's why it's so important to stop and ask yourself hard questions before you go back. Are you actually okay with what happened? Are you prepared to face the same behaviors again? Because in their minds, your decision to reconnect tells them that no matter what they did, it wasn't enough to lose you. And when you approach them saying, "I made a mistake, can we try again?" what they often hear instead is, "I can treat you however I want, and you'll still come back." That's the dangerous cycle at play. Now, I want to clear up a common misconception. Just because a narcissist moves on quickly doesn't mean they've changed for the next person or suddenly learned how to love better. It's tempting to imagine that the fast rebound means they've found someone who gets a healthier version of them, and you're left feeling like you weren't good enough. But think about it. Have they done the work? Have they gone to therapy, sought accountability, or made real changes? Most of the time, the answer is no. Without inner work, all they're doing is repeating the same story with a new character. The relationship may look different from the outside, but behind the curtain, the same patterns are running the show. I know the mind searches for a rational explanation, and you want closure. You want to believe that maybe they'll treat the next person better, and that thought alone can feel like a wound. But the truth is, speed doesn't equal growth. Moving on quickly doesn't mean they've leveled up. It just means they've found another source to patch up the emptiness inside. Don't confuse newness with transformation. If nothing is happening behind the scenes to heal or change, the outcome will always be the same, just with a different partner paying the price. So remember, the power isn't in whether they chase you or replace you. It's in whether you decide to stop measuring your worth through their reactions. Protect your peace, trust the lessons you've already learned, and don't get caught in the illusion that their next chapter will somehow rewrite the story of your worth. And before I close, thank you so much for being here. If you found value in this message, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Your support helps this channel grow and allows more people to find the encouragement they need on their own healing journey.